In this video, we will be working on deploying our application to Azure. So for that, what we have to do is you'll have to go to azure.microsoft.com and we'll click on Portal. Here, if you do not have an account, you can sign up for a free account. I already have an account, so I will log in using that account. Once we log into our Azure, here we have few options. Now, if you have never worked with Azure before, you need to think about few things. What are the things that you will need to host your application? First, you need a SQL database. Next, you need an app service. App service will let you host, and database you need for tables and storage. Another thing that you have to create is a resource group. Resource groups are nothing but a container to hold some of the things in a group. These are absolutely free. So let's go ahead and create our first resource group. I'll name this as UD and we'll create. Now the resources as well as groups, anything that you can do from Azure service here for hosting our database, we can do that from our Rocky project. So in here, if we go to Solution Explorer, we'll right click on the Rocky project and we'll hit Publish button. We will select Azure and we will hit the next button. You can host the application in any of the container, but I'll go with the Windows service here and we'll hit Next. You need to make sure you have the appropriate account selected. If you are not logged in, it will ask you to log in to your Azure account. Once you log in, it will show you your default subscription. We have the view of resource group and we need to create a new Azure app service. So we'll click on New Azure App Service and we need to give it a name. I'll call this Rocky 2. You can see the subscription is 1. Resource group is the one that we just created from the web portal. If you want, you can always create a new one, but I'm gonna use the UD. Then we'll create a new hosting plan. I'll call this Rocky 2. We want the free plan, so make sure you select that and we'll click OK. We'll hit the Create button and this will configure our app service. Again, if you have never used Azure before, if you sign up for the first time, you get $200 of free credit. The hosting layer that we selected is absolutely free. The only thing that will cost right now is the database. But if you have free credits, you can always create database and try things out. Once that is created, we can see in our resource group UD, we have Rocky 2, and then here it displays deployment slots. These deployment slots comes into picture if, let's say, you have multiple feature sites where you want to deploy the same application for testing. Or you have 2 production websites which uses the same code, then you can configure deployment slots. But we do not need that for this application. Then we'll select Finish here to let it configure the app service. You can see then it displays dependencies here. It detects that we need a SQL Server database with connection ID, default connection is detected. So let's configure this. When we hit configure, it shows us 2 options. One is an on-prem SQL Server, but we'll go with the Azure SQL database. We need to create a new SQL database. We had resource group, so we will bundle everything together. But when we create a database, we need to create a database server as well. So database name, we'll call it Rocky_2_DB. The database server, we need to create that. So the server name, I'm gonna call this UD, and we need the administrator, username and password. So the username, we cannot use just admin, so I'll call it admin user, and password, we'll use what we have been using so far, admin123*. The server name, so let me make it as Rocky2, and with that, we'll be able to hit OK. Once we click OK, let's hit Create to create our SQL database on Azure. If we go back to the portal, And if we refresh or if we go to all resources, we will be taking a look at new resources as it gets generated. You can see it added 2 resources already. One is the app service and next one is the app service plan. Let's wait for the database to get completed and let's continue from there in the next video.